Welcome, everyone, to the U Plus AI podcast. I'm your host, Ranga Sampath, and today I have with me Reshma Suresh, who heads operations at Cure.ai. I just finished recording a podcast with her where we talked extensively about Cure.ai's product offerings, how they're deployed in India and in so many other different countries, what a difference they're making to patients' lives, and a whole lot about their engineering culture, about machine learning operations, and how it is important to take care of all that as you serve your customers. So be sure to listen to the podcast at uplusai.com. I have with me Reshma Suresh, and she's going to introduce herself in this elevator pitch. Reshma, all yours.
Thanks, Ranga. Hi, everyone. My name is Reshma Suresh. I head operations at Cure.ai. Prior to joining Cure, I was a founding member of a company called Biosense Technologies. In the past eight and a half years, I've been focusing very much on point of care diagnostic solutions. What really drives me is seeing how these technologies or innovations that we build impact patient lives in the field.
Great to hear that, Reshma. Great to hear that. So now let's dive into some of the fun segments of the U Plus AI podcast. We start with something called true or false. So here I give you a statement and you can say it's true or false and give your explanation for it. Of course, there is no right or wrong. It's just your perspective. So here's your statement, true or false. Developing countries stand to benefit more from AI in healthcare than developed countries. True or false?
I think true. The reason why I say it is true is because in developing countries, right, one is that there is a lot of focus. There are less inhibitions or less barriers because you actually need the use of technology there. So whereas when you go to developed countries, right, one is the device regulations. All of that aside. Even then, there is a lot more need of or expectations that they have, not from a performance standpoint, because performance there is no compromise whether you are in a developed country or whether you are in a developing country. At the end of the day, it is affecting individual lives, right? So there is no comparison. I feel that there is a lot of inhibitions, or there is a lot more. It's a lot more welcoming to innovations. There are a lot of organizations that support or that fund innovations in developing countries. So I think it's true.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that perspective. So our next segment is called Fill in the Blanks. And here I give you a statement and I'll say dash dash, and you can fill it with a single word or multiple words or a phrase, however you think it best fits the description. So here's your statement for fill in the blanks. The best way to address systemic bias in AI is dash.
More evidence, more evidence, more evidence on how it affects. I believe, so probably I can just explain this answer, right? I believe there are three key stakeholders in every in healthcare. One is your client, who actually have the vision on how you need to introduce AI in and how it will define the future of the healthcare practice in their segment. The second is your end user, who is actually the user of your software. It could be a specialist, a technician, anybody, right? And the third is your patient. So you need to carefully understand, and at least from a developer standpoint, you need to look at how it impacts each of these three stakeholders. If you have looked at it, if you create enough statement or data or evidence to show how positively it affects all these three, I think that would eliminate the systemic bias.
Yeah, makes sense. And also, because each of these stakeholders, you may have different subpopulations of that. For example, patients may be of different ethnicities or races. So if your solution caters equally or equitably to all of those, then I think you're probably in the right direction.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reshma. Okay, next we go to a section called Imagine, and here I will give you a scenario, and you have to use your gray cells up here 10 years forward, and you have to tell me how this may play out 10 years ahead, right? So here's your scenario for Imagine. It's the year 2030. As you were climbing down the stairs of your office, you trip and fall. You realize that you're unable to move your leg or bend your knee and that you're in great pain. Walk us through your imagination on how this would proceed towards resolution and care in 2030.
I don't know whether we need to necessarily wait till 2030 for that, or but I can still imagine what could happen, right? So I think there will be these, maybe on my phone enabled camera, there is an app that is constantly monitoring, visually monitoring all my movements. Okay. I also have probably a wearable which is continuously monitoring the vitals, the general body
Mhm.
parameters that I have.
Mhm.
And what it could, and I probably have a sensor which is an integral part of my body.
Oh, it's implanted. It's an implanted sensor.
It's removable. It's invasive. Probably it is semi-invasive, so it is still there, but it is removable, right? So I don't know whether it is now we are talking in 2030 or beyond, but then with the sensor and all of these are connected. So all the app, everything is connected. And all of this is constantly measuring even the micro change in the parameters that is happening in my body. So when this happens, it probably get a spike or something. This is an alarm, and what it does is that instead of me reaching out to anybody, my phone app reaches out to probably a set of physicians that I have in the list. There is a conversational AI bot which will talk on my behalf and say that these are the symptoms. And then probably based on the responses from the physician, if the bot feels that this is probably the closest to right assessment of what my condition is, probably connects me to the physician and I can talk and then I can see them. Telemedicine, that is probably there already, right? So you can see them and then get quick access, and also send alerts to my family or my emergency contact. All of them done automatically. I think that's what will probably happen.
Good. That's nice imagination. So thank you. We'll certainly, maybe touch back in 2030 or earlier to see how that unfolds.
Sure.
Although I don't want you to have a fall, but we'll check back. So thank you. So we get to our last section. It's called "A Tweet Saves the Day." So here I give you a scenario, and I ask you to write a tweet, right, to address that scenario. And again, it's there's no right or wrong. It's just your perspective. So here's your scenario. In developing countries, there are ample opportunities to collect a large amount of representative data among various subpopulations, given that the data privacy laws are perhaps somewhat lax. That said, there is great concern that data that is so collected does not benefit the people who are the sources of that data. You are asked to weigh in tactfully to address the tension arising in this scenario. What would you tweet?
So first of all, I truly believe that is probably not right. Not probably right. I believe it's not. I know it is not right because even from Cure, we are doing a lot of work in these, especially in the developing world. So what I will do is I'll probably post one of the blogs or maybe take a quote from one of the users. Patient probably not possible because we are not directly interacting with patients, but one of the user who has actually seen the change that the software has brought in a patient. So I'll probably take that and then I quote them and then tweet it.
Oh, that's great. So you're actually giving an example on evidence of what has worked, and so therefore proving that maybe it needs more examination.
That's correct.
Great, thank you. So thank you, Reshma. That wraps up. Thank you so much for being on the U Plus AI podcast. We certainly had a very good podcast recording sometime back, and I would urge our users to go to uplusai.com and in all podcast apps to get the podcast with Reshma Suresh. We talked extensively about all the interesting things that Reshma does at Cure AI and their solutions and how the solutions are changing patients' lives. So be sure to catch that. Thank you once again, Reshma, for coming to the UPlusAI podcast. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ranga. Thank you very much.